Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Anomaly Detected podcast. Just wanted to come out and say that Special Agent Scully is on maternity leave. She's on mama cat leave. She just had her kittens yesterday and she had 3 and we're planning on keeping 1. So she has been in protective mommy mode and all of our other cats have been getting their asses whooped. So I have her locked in the other room and she's in there with my wife hanging out and taking care of her babies. So on to the podcast. So this episode, I wanted to talk about humans are going to human. And fact of the matter is, humans are dangerous and we've always been dangerous. And I think that it's something that a lot of people should take into consideration before they start talking about, well, if aliens existed, why haven't they contacted us? And I'm not saying that they haven't contacted us, because I think in some cases our governments might already have some form of contact with them. But as far as like the general population knowing, it's like, if one of these crafts came down and something came out of them and, stuck their hand out and went, wah, 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 and like wanted to, and like wanted to meet us, we would probably either A, capture them and experiment on them, and they would never see the light of day again, or we would probably just shoot them outright, or everybody would just run and hide and panic, and everything would be chaos. I mean, like, if you imagine, like, let's say you and I were walking through the woods or something together, and something crawled out or walked out and met us on a trail, we would probably break our legs trying to get away from this thing. I mean, even if it appeared friendly. I mean, and like, as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to say that I would stand my ground and would like feel out the situation, but the logical part of me says that I would hightail it and run too, because you don't know what you're getting into. I mean, they could be friendly or maybe not. So you just can't ever tell. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was something that was on the news that happened probably maybe 4, 5, 6 months ago. And it was some footage of a craft that was minding its own business, and it was just going across the screen, and it was being tracked on camera by something, by like a satellite or something like that, but it was being tracked, and it was going rather quickly. Not sure exactly how fast it was going, but it was going fast. And this particular craft that they were tracking kind of looks like the thing that I caught on camera probably over a year ago now, that I still haven't posted, but I will. And they were tracking this thing. Hey, Cher. They were tracking this thing, and then out of the left side of the screen, I think they call it a Hellfire missile or a Patriot missile or some kind of missile, Tomahawk, you name it, whatever it was, came out of the left side of the screen, came into contact with the thing, hit it, and then like the missile part of it, like, I don't think it detonated. I think they were just trying to destabilize and knock the thing out of the sky, because it didn't explode, but it did make contact with the thing, and then it like broke apart and went over here. Oh, Scully did come out. Scully, you got to be taking care of your babies right now. All right.
I'm babysitting. She wanted to come see you.
Okay, yeah, I heard her. I heard her meowing at the door. Okay, so Agent Scully's here with me. Lovely girl. So I actually like having her here with me because she helps keep me calm. I get to pet the cat. So this missile broke apart, and the craft started spiraling like this, but it never really slowed down. Like it just like got hit and it like went woo 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 woo, and then went off the screen, or the footage ended or something. But it didn't crash. And once it like regained or recalibrated itself, it just went, okay. And then just kept on going. And the thing, as far as I could tell, was perfectly fine after being smacked in the face with a Tomahawk missile. So yeah, like that's probably one of our more sophisticated weapons that we have. And if something like that can really just bounce off of them and nothing really happened and the ship isn't even damaged, that really says a lot. Because my thought on the matter was that maybe we shouldn't piss these things off. I mean, unless we're like already in some kind of a covert war or something with these things, then maybe it's a really bad idea trying to shoot them down and trying to attack them, because chances are they've got friends. And if they go and they tell their friends, which I'm sure they did, then we could end up having a really big problem on our hands. So, that's just something to consider. But, humans, it's quite obvious why that we're dangerous and that we really shouldn't be trusted. We can't get along with each other, let alone getting along with some alien race that could probably turn us into vapor if they wanted to. So it's just something to be mindful of, and that we really shouldn't be trying to attack these things. So, oh goodness, I kind of lost my train of thought. I don't know. I'm like getting so distracted. I got the cat over here, the dog's over here. Everything's kind of weird, but I don't know. Like I could probably think of different, I want to say, events and stuff like that. There's probably all different kinds of things that have happened that we'll never know about. But the thing is that if you saw something in the sky and you tried reporting it to the authorities, chances are they'll tell you to check your medication or something like that and make sure that that you're not crazy. But generally speaking, when it comes to UFO sightings and stuff like that, there's always some kind of excuse or some kind of just thing that they say to just try to squash it all, right? And just make sure that everybody just forgets. But in other countries, they treat it like a real thing. Like I heard that if you call in or if you file a report in Canada about different sightings or a sighting that you had, the Royal Canadian Police or whoever, I think they call it the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, I believe it's called, that they actually will do investigations and they will send people to your house to get your account at least, so that they can put it in some kind of a file or document it. But over here in America, I guess it's just so common, or they don't want to upset the masses or something like that, that they really just try to call you crazy. I mean, they've put people in mental institutions and stuff about this. So, it's logical that somebody who has seen UFOs like I have, that why they wouldn't even bother to call. I mean, especially back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, if you called the police and you said, I saw an alien, I saw a UFO, they might haul you off. So, just for our own safety and our own well-being, and so that we can continue with our lives and going to work and stuff like that, we don't want to be labeled as some kind of, as people who are crazy, So, a lot of the times we just keep it to ourselves. And up until now, now that I'm putting some of this stuff out on the internet, okay, then before that, I've never called into MUFON or MUFON. They call it MUFON. I've never called in and reported anything to them. I've never called the police department about some weird lights in the sky that I was seeing, So back when I was in the Air Force and I was stationed at Ramstein Air Base in Germany, me and my friend Charlie and a couple other friends, we were drinking some beers together in the dorm rooms, in one of our dorm rooms, and my friend Charlie's wife used to work at the hotel that was on base, and she called my friend Charlie and said, hey, people are out here, they're complaining about some lights and stuff that they're seeing in the sky over here by the hotel. And I was wondering if you guys wanted to come have a look at it. And we were like, heck yeah, let's go, And we all jumped in the car. We piled into the car and we drove up there. And we saw these lights in the sky, and it was completely overcast, okay? And there were just clouds that completely covered the sky. And when we got out, the lights were almost on the horizon. They were like in the distance. And but they were shining directly through the clouds. And as time went by and we were looking at it and stuff, and we were just like kind of like looking in the sky, and like my friend Tristan at the time, he was like, oh my God, are they missiles? Oh my God, dude. Like he completely lost it. Like he really thought we were about to die. And by that point, I had already seen a number of UFOs in my life. So I wasn't panicking, and none of the rest of us were, except for him. But he really thought we were about to get cooked. And, so these lights were over there and they were kind of far away. And then we were talking to each other, and then we would look back up, and then they would be closer, and we'd look up and they'd be a little bit closer. So finally, my friend Charlie, who was in like his job, his career field was like command center type stuff. So he ended up pulling out his phone and got on the horn with air traffic control. And he asked air traffic control, like the guys in the control tower, hey, are you guys seeing anything on the radar? Anything like that? Are you seeing these funny lights in the sky? What are you guys seeing up there? And they said, oh, we're not seeing anything at all. And we're like, well, how do you explain these lights in the sky? And they said that because there was so much construction going on the base, that it was probably lights from the cranes on base that were building buildings. I'm like, that is probably one of the most ridiculous responses, or excuses that I've heard. I mean, it's so ridiculous that I still remember it 20 plus years ago when this happened. And so eventually these lights were directly overhead. They came and they stopped directly over top of us. And we were all standing there and we were all looking up like this, for like 45 minutes, these things just hovered over our head. It's like they came and they stopped right at us. Like they were watching us, apparently. Okay? Because they came from over there and then came to us where we stood, where we were watching and talking about them, and then they stopped. And then my neck was starting to hurt because you can only look up like this for so long before your neck starts to, starts to ache. And so what did I do? I laid down on the sidewalk and I put my hands above my head like this, and I was just like looking up. And one of my buddies, they laid down in the grass, and we were all just standing there looking at it. Let me tell you a little funny story before I finish up. Was that we were looking at when this thing was overhead. Okay, a woman came walking up, and I just got her attention, and she was just some random lady, some random sergeant or whoever. I don't know. I don't remember. But what I do remember is that she came walking up, and I said, "Hey," and she says, "Hi," and I said, "Have you ever seen a UFO before?" And she said, "No," and I was like, "Well, now you have," and she went, "Uh," and then she went, and she just like kind of like, and then she just kept walking. It was so bizarre, and that's how I guess a lot of people are like. When stuff like that happens, they just don't know how to act. They don't know how to handle it. But I got to just point it out to a complete stranger who I've never seen before and never seen since. And she said she never saw one before. I showed one to her, and she went, and went inside. It was really weird. So, but anyway, I was laying down on my back, and I was just had my hands behind my head like this, and then they faded out into the clouds. But come to find out, that wasn't the first time that people had seen those around the base. And among each other, we called them the Ramstein Lights. That's what they were known as back in the day. And come to find out, people say that these kinds of crafts usually, if you see them, they're usually around military bases, probably to inspect or something like that, because when it comes to nuclear facilities and nuclear sites like that, I've also heard stories where they will actually deactivate nuclear missiles, because I guess they don't want us blowing up the planet. So maybe they have a vested interest in our planet as well. And the way that I look at it is that if Earth is like the first blue planet with life on it that there is within, 10, 15, 20,000 light years or something like that, well, I mean, it's kind of like maybe they come here for our water or something like that, or for some resource that we have here on the planet, and that's why they show up here. And it's bad for them too if we destroy the planet. So these are all just things to think about. But humans are pretty destructive creatures. I've actually, what I thought was funny is some people have referred to humans as space orcs. And I was like, that kind of checks out. And, chances are, well, I don't know about chances are, but humans may be populating other planets other than Earth. I mean, we might be populating numerous different planets across the galaxy, or maybe even across a couple of galaxies, depending. But, depending on, let's say, whatever planet they're on, that the planet might have a lower gravity or a higher gravity or something like that. Humans might be taller on other planets. They might have different adaptive traits. They might be hairier. They might be smoother. They might have, like, they might be 9 feet tall. Like 9 feet tall might be a short king on planet Galagus X1T59 or some crap. You know what I mean? So who knows what the hell's really going on? But I do think that humans have a reputation for being pretty hostile. And even though we have in the past supposedly sent out satellites and stuff, sending out signals and frequencies, trying to communicate with aliens, saying that we're peaceful and that we would like to meet them and stuff like that. The fact of the matter is, no, we don't. We really don't. And even if they fell into the trap of showing up here and trying to introduce themselves as a friendly race, we'd probably kill them. So best treat us with caution. You know, like, and the thing about it is humans on an individual level can be very good and very kind and sweet. You know, like I feed birds outside. I feed outdoor cats. We sometimes bring cats in, you know, and they become part of the family and stuff like that. But, you know, best approach us with a great amount of caution, because some people want to pet you and feed you, and other people want to wear your skin or make a hat out of you. So, you know, just use extreme caution when you're dealing with us, because you never know what you're going to get. We're like a box of chocolates. You guys have yourselves a good day, and we'll see you again.